Hi, I'm Sitaraman G and I'm a deputy editor with The Ken. This edition of Make India Competitive Again was published on the 5th of May 2025. It's titled 100 Million Diabetics, Still No Country for Insulin. When big ships turn, they displace a lot of water. And the Danish giant Novo Nordisk is making a sharp turn. It's phasing out insulin, the life-saving drug that has been in the market for over 40 years, to make way for newer, better, and more expensive products. In India, some 11 million diabetics are on insulin, and Novo commands 60% of the nearly 5,000 crore rupee market. Sanofi, the leader in long-acting insulin with a market share of over 70% through its brand Lantus, is also exiting this business. The French major has put up Lantus for sale in India because its global strategy is shifting away from insulins at large. The third large insulin maker in India, Eli Lilly, markets its products through Indian pharma companies Lupin and Cipla, for which the active pharmaceutical ingredients or API, which are the insulin crystals, come from the US. Only the fill and finish work happens in India. All three global majors had to slash prices in the US in 2023 when insulin rates went through the roof and people took to the streets demanding government intervention. Soon after, and unsurprisingly, the pharma companies started exiting some of these products. That decision also coincided with Novo and Lilly discovering a new GLP or glucagon-like peptide-1 class of drugs for diabetes and obesity, which is as much a scientific wonder as a once-in-a-generation business opportunity. In a market economy, these are as astute as business decisions can get. Pull resources away from price-controlled products to invest in newer, more lucrative ones. According to the February 2025 price list of India's National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority, the price of a 10 ml vial of human insulin is capped at 636 rupees, while 10 ml of long-acting insulin is capped at 2030 rupees. But for a country that has 101 million people with diabetes and another 136 million with pre-diabetes, the pharma giant's exit is a wake-up call no one is prepared for. Incidentally, India is also home to the world's fourth largest insulin producer, the Biocon Group, which along with its new commercial partner, Eris Lifesciences, is probably looking at a windfall as the giants vacate the space. Still, one group's windfall cannot be a country's healthcare sanctuary. Particularly today when India is going all out to encourage manufacturing, and insulin, nearly a century after its discovery, has become a game of titration between economies of scale great plants, assured markets, and capped but predictable prices. In the past year alone, as Novo began scaling down, many countries such as the US, Malaysia, and Brazil have reported insulin shortages. The company will pull 7 brands from India, of which Mixtard, a mixture of fast and long-acting insulin sold in pen fills, is the mainstay of Indian patients. Novo has said it will continue to sell this product in vials, but that accounts for less than a third of the sales and is mostly used in hospital settings. For retail users, it's either painful, awkward-to-use syringes or a dash to find a substitute. At Eris Lifesciences in Ahmedabad, founder Amit Bakshi is gearing up to grab 60% of the vacated market. As someone who started his career selling insulins at these multinationals, he's been eyeing an entry into the insulin business for a while. Bakshi told us, and I quote, "Insulin is more than a product. It sits in your head because in selling it, you acquire affinity for the product. Your job is to go home and make people inject themselves. You develop empathy for patients. You'll see people who've been selling insulin, they make sure that they remain part of the same ecosystem during their sales career." In the past, Bakshi went to China looking to procure APIs for insulin, but he also knew it would not make commercial sense and he'd have to discontinue in between. When he found Pune-based MJ Biopharm scaling up its insulin API, he entered the business with Eris's own brand named Exulin. Last year, Eris acquired Biocon's India formulation business for 1242 crore, along with the latter's insulin brands Insugen and Basalog. The two companies also signed a 10-year partnership under which Biocon Biologics will manufacture insulin. Now that global giants have announced their retreat, Biocon says it will ramp up production. But here's the market skew one can't ignore. In nearly 20 years of selling in India, Biocon couldn't beat the MNCs to gain more than 10% market share and began to focus on global markets. It is now approved in 40 countries and has more than an 80% market share in countries like Malaysia and Mexico. Even in the US, it enjoys a bigger market share than in India. The Bengaluru-based company wants to be a global player in insulin, reaching 1 in 5 people globally. Evidently, there is a limit to how much Biocon can serve the Indian market, especially given it remains pretty low value compared to other markets, even when the insulin is a government-tendered product. As part of the deal last year, Biocon sold its under-construction Bhopal plant to Eris, and Bakshi hopes that this will help him serve the Indian market better. His confidence comes from the fact that he has improved the business Eris bought from Biocon, growing a 16 crore per month business to 22 crore a month in just about a year. For more than 2 decades, Novo and Lilly between them enjoyed 100% market dominance in human insulin in India. Along with Biocon, there were a few others including Wockhardt, USC and Russia's Shreya, which launched their own insulin products. But the perception among doctors that insulin was a hard-to-make product which only MNCs could deliver with high quality made it harder for others to break into. Additionally, the prowess of the Indian pharmaceutical industry at large resides in chemistry-based drugs. Biotech products which have a complicated and long manufacturing cycle because they deal with living organisms didn't catch anyone's fancy. So the Indian market pretty much remained in the shadows of Novo, Lilly and Sanofi. More than 100 years after insulin was discovered in Canada and a non-profit body named Nordisk Insulin Laboratory, the parent of Novo Nordisk, brought it to Denmark for production, this life-saving drug still remains inaccessible to more than half the people in the world who need it. By some estimates, only 10% can access it. Even though better and long-acting insulins, which need to be injected only once every few days, are going to enter the market, basic insulin will always be needed for the rising diabetic population across the world. Ironically, it's also a product whose price has rarely fallen. In India, when Biocon entered the market in 2004 with a lower price, global companies had to drop their prices too. Bakshi is aware of the responsibility of entering the space. He's done the maths. If you put your money in a fixed deposit, it gives you a 7% post-tax return. Any ROCE or return on capital employed, which is more than 12 to 13%, is a good ROCE. And we're getting that on insulin, he said. Since insulin is price controlled, the price increase is minimal, linked to India's wholesale price index. Bakshi is investing both in the product and its marketing because he thinks the competition cannot disrupt him. He said, and I quote, "It's such a basic business. The product is required across a vast population. The volumes are getting bigger and every year it's getting depreciated. I start with 18 to 20% return on capital and by the time my plant is depreciated, I get to 20 to 23%. It's a fantastic business to be in," he says with an air of satisfaction. But inside the policy circles in New Delhi, officials have no reason to be satisfied. Rather, they should be paranoid, thinking about systemic solutions so that shortages, price gouging, or inaccessibility do not make diabetes a demographic catastrophe. Because it's not just type 1 diabetes, but a good portion of type 2 diabetes that requires insulin treatment. Insulin has always had a black box aura around it. It doesn't need one. This episode of Make India Competitive Again was authored by Seema Singh and Sudeshna Ray and read by me, Sita Ramanji. It was produced by Rajiv CN. You can read the newsletter on our website or our mobile app. Tune in next week for a new episode.